Hello and welcome to another video. It's me, Solid, and well, it's going to be a 3-day video today. Wasn't intending for today to be such a heavy video day, but since I've decided to kind of put these to last minute, it's kind of how it's going to be. Regardless, I hope y'all are having a wonderful day, and since it's going to be pushed as soon as I can, these are going to be coming out kind of consecutively. It's just regular tips for this case. In this case, it's going to be the event boss. So we're actually going to go over the event boss here, but don't want to talk too much since typically is where people stop watching, regardless. Let's actually check it out. So we have the beginner boss. I haven't completed any of these because I typically just complete them the day of because I make sure lazy and it's just obnoxious to clear it. It's weak against green is what this is weak against, right? So this is yellow, I believe. Wait, this is my green team. Get a little bit of bonus from Aurora being max, which is mild. It's not a bad upgrade, but it's mild. Yeah, so this is the kind of like the expectancy of who they want you to pair it up with, pretty much. But setting that aside, you don't actually necessarily need a green team for these cases. I think I've shown this before. As long as you literally have a decent enough team, you don't need like a green team for this. This is kind of like a suggestion. This is like the best outcome for stuff like whatchamacallit? Normal boss. It really doesn't matter too much. For this hard difficulty boss, you do need it to be specifically green. Typically, the best one is as always a bleeding unit team. These are probably not going to be immune to bleed. Ideally, if they want you to use the units. So let's actually check it out if that's true or not. So I will be using this team for now. It doesn't really need to be this green team. But this is one of the teams I was building up. This is what I want to put on this character, by the way. This way I have her like this. This is kind of like an ideal situation, for example. So in such a case like this, this is kind of like where you'd replace a few characters. So for example, you'd replace a human here, her. This is kind of like serve too much of a purpose if you replace her with the new summer characters. So this replace with a new summer character, replace with a new summer character, and then you pretty much have the team. Elf, Therianthrope, human. You're only missing a vampire here, so this is kind of like one idea you might mention in the other events. So this is kind of an example of where you're really close to being like full. You just need to swap this character out and this character out, and you can swap the humans out, or you can swap out the human out, so Aurora can replace her with Shadowfest characters, as an example. You can replace her with Shadowfest, what's her name? Elizabeth, for example, with more damage output as well as more utility. She's not bad, she's just not quite what we want. There's different kits. Delta is just good. Therianthrope, period, that's kind of it. There's nothing else to it. You can replace her with which would you ideally be the green Yukime for more damage up, for more so everybody gets a buff, but she herself is like a really just good DPS. You wouldn't have like necessarily like a good healer, but if you're replacing her with, so what you'd be replacing essentially is her. No, actually not her. You'd be replacing her with Shadowface Elizabeth, Blood Queen, Scarlet Blood Queen Elizabeth. That's what you'd be replacing here. In the case for the human here, you'd probably replace her with Elizabeth, Lady of Elegy, for a very optimal team, at least for the case where they want you to buy these, or get these units, right? And for Shared Silence Epsilon, which, again, new unit is really good for speed. Epsilon is like a really good tank. Inflicts, raises own defense, further recover HP by this. Also inflicts provoke, which is really nice. Inflicts stun on the enemy with the highest attack, and then boosts damage or shields damage for all shadow guarding characters. So you, and herself. Sadly, Aurora doesn't count, and Sherry doesn't, so she kind of would miss out on a couple. But since you're going to be replacing these two with, I mean, it just still wouldn't work, sadly. So I guess it would be better to just have her overall. Because her kit's really meant for like Shadow Guard characters. She does have like more openness to it and can be used in more than just her own team, which is the nice part about it, but it does have that limitation. Regardless, we're actually going to test this out. She's also got like quite a bit of evasion, I think is what she has, right? Each time damage is received, recovers 1 HP and shields damage by up to 50 times. HP attack up to 5 times. Of 1,000% of their own HP or of their own attack. She heals herself up pretty well. But yeah, setting this aside, we're actually going to test it out. Let's see how this goes. This is fairly simple for most people that are like starting out. Just get your strongest team realistically. If you're struggling with this part, I can't quite say much to you, but if you're struggling in such a case, let's see what we can do. So typically see, this goes really fast, but in such a cases, for most of my advice is going to be kind of like pretty typical. So if you're taking too much damage in the beginning, make sure to use your combo and proc the effect for her, for Epsilon or your tank, and just max it out, so you don't have to deal with like that type of damage. By the way, it's also preferable to do this fight typically towards the end because they actually unlock more bonus characters. And if you have any of these bonus characters, such as myself having Aurora, like 2 out of 5, it boosts up my score bonus a little bit as well as my kill bonus because I don't have any of these other characters at all. So it's typically better to do it towards the end because then you have more than just your boosted characters that you had before. I think these two were like only there, and then perhaps I think Ocean Temptation's beta, but I'm not totally sure. Regardless, we're going to be going through the middle one, which is 12,000 power. Pardon me for the coffee. But hold on a second. But yeah, so we have these things. We have this character. Similar thing. For this case, I think I struggled a little bit the first time I ever did this. If you want advice on what units to use, again, generally just use what you think is like relatively stronger. You could honestly use the same team against it, but it wouldn't necessarily be good. Just don't use like the team that it's like weak against. So in such a case, don't use your blue team. Yeah, for example, don't use your blue team against this stuff. You can still do it if you overwhelm the power scan, like by a bit, but it's not necessarily the best. Actually, let me show you in the case. So suppose we're actually using this. This is not necessarily the best, but regardless, you're actually still getting bonus. It's not like you need to use the characters. Literally by owning this, by the way, I don't know if you know this, but if you own the characters, you get boosts. You don't actually have to use them in the team. Aside from that, we can actually use these. Like for example, in this case, our team is weak against it, but we can still beat it if you are overwhelmingly powerful. I'll be showcasing it, but I doubt when I actually get to do much of it because there's not much to show. Realistically, the difference in like combat power is so high that should balance out, even with a 60% reduction in damage. As you can tell right here, it is going to take a little bit more of a beating. It is recommended for you not to do this because you are losing out on 60% of your damage. It's also putting us a bit more at risk, and you can take a lot more damage than intended. You can do it. It is not recommended. At least pick a team neutral kind of team would be more ideal. I'm just going to speed this up because this is taking a minute. Dash just slowed me down, so this character has like slowdown features, so watch out for that. You do this, and then if you're taking too much damage, again, you can kind of go with like the different combos. So we go with this, then you recover health, and then you can reduce your damage. So if you go with this one, you can actually reduce your damage to 40%. So that's how you get like extra bit of damage reduction, in essence, right? At this point, I've probably killed. Oh, nope, still not. As you see, there is a strong difference in damage. I still cleared, so everything's okay, but it is recommended for you to at least go with a type neutral rather than a weak one. It's kind of pretty simplistic, but just kind of like be aware of that. It is better for you to be neutral than it is to be the most optimal. In such a case, for example, for this stuff, So they actually max out your points at 60k now. Interesting. But let's see. So we have this thing. Actually, yeah, they moved up from 30,000, I think. Is it 30,000 or 60,000 before? I think they bumped up the limit, I think. Let's actually check this out. So we're gonna battle it. I'm actually gonna go back to my type neutral because this is 11. This is much less, but it does have a lot more health. So we're actually gonna go with the optimal quote unquote team, which is what this is in essence. It's a better team, but I think my most optimal team would probably be red team for this thing. We're actually gonna try this out. This one. Now I am overwhelming like this in power level, but it's not necessarily good per se. But so we have these things, we have this things, and then we can just click on this. We're actually gonna try this out. The difference in power is really dependent on the characters you're using. In my case, Delta is probably going to be the highest damage output for me. There's no actual booster and attack in this team, sadly. It will be eventually from boosting speed from this thing, as well as damage inflicted by humans at one point. But for now, this is not necessarily the most optimal. This is kind of like a thrown together. It doesn't have as much synergy as my red team, which is more of a damage booster team. It's primarily elves and humans. It's an elf-human comp. And this is just mostly for all-rushing. And with Gamma, because Gamma has a all-rushing kind of a passive thing. Raises SP boost rate by elementals by 10%. She also does in her skills, I think it's her passive, each time SP recovers HP of a single random ally by 80 points. This is just every 3 seconds, or every 6 seconds, which is a good amount. And sometimes I'm not entirely sure why it does so much. But I think this is aftershock raises SP boost rate of allies with 10% for 30 seconds. So it will take me 10 seconds for Aurora to output more damage. Everybody else will get it's typically Aurora because in the case for her, she has the highest just outright stats. Period. She's got 15,000 power, so she's gonna wear it shining. We're gonna be trying out the green stuff, but this is a little bit obnoxious with this team. Anyway, stop talking aside. Let's actually just get to it. We are going to be trying out the auto on the red team because I trust this one for trying it out manually, but I will be autoing this one as well. Let's see. We're actually going to be trying it auto first. We'll see how it does. Kind of showcasing a lot of different things. Typically, you can actually build up a combo a little bit more. It doesn't really need to be that much higher. And as you can tell, I'm getting a debuff a bunch of different times, and it is actually slowing down my speed a bunch. This is more an auto. I'm noticing the damage output is not bad, but I don't think I'm actually going to reach the damage cap on this stuff. Let's see how much actual points we got, 42,000. This is not good auto. You can manually do this one, and I'm going to show you how manual looks like in a second. Because manual is probably like a little bit more effort. We're going to battle it. I think this was capped at 30,000 before. I'm not entirely sure anymore. We're gonna manually do this one. This is my team. It's not necessarily like a good coherent team, but it's a team. We're gonna slow this down a little bit. We have this right here, so we're gonna do this, 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 and this. This is where pop your ultimate here. And bam, bam. Bam. I think it just recovers allies' health, if I remember correctly. This definitely recovers stuff. I don't remember what it does specifically. Pop this one, do this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. We got more ultimate, and then we can pop it off. But as you can see, the damage isn't really bad per se. It's just not quite what I'm looking for damage-wise. We're gonna do is pop here, pop this one, pop this one, pop this one, this one, pop this one, and then we're gonna pop the ultimate on Delta. We have like 3 seconds. And just pop it, blah 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 blah, pop it. We got this one. For most of this stuff, and I believe this is the last few seconds on it that matter. Yep, nearly damage cap. This should be max points. As you can tell, we did this amount of damage. We got the max 10 points. So you can do this. This is probably the most manual optimal way. For my case, since I am lazy and a human being, as most of you are, I hope. What I typically do is actually get my strongest team, and I just click on this button, and then it only works as long as they're like weak against it. As long as I'm not weak against it. So the next one, if it's blue, I'm generally gonna be like struggling a little bit if I use it at all. But in such a case, I will have a yellow team by that point, which is pretty good. My yellow team is kind of like my back pedal for stuff. Red team I use for most stuff, and it is really, really quite good. So we have this here. We're gonna battle. We're actually gonna auto battle this one and kind of show you kind of like the difference if you're using your strongest team versus a green team versus the other team. This time I'm just gonna let it auto battle. This is gonna be pretty self-explanatory. I'm not doing anything. Above damage cap. 600k. Damage boost. Popping off. And we're 30 seconds in, guys. Only 30 seconds. That is realistically what a team should look like. And we got 2 ultimates from one of the strongest games. This is one of the strongest characters I have. The reason being is because it actually hits multiple times. Then we got another ultimate of a single target kind of thing. It's really good. As you can tell, you don't necessarily need to be like congruent with the element that they need you to use, but for most technical uses, it's fine. Ran out of time, but let's see our score. We even did more damage on Autumn. You can actually take a little bit more control over this and kind of rein it in, and you should just use your best team, and then control it manually. This is what you can get. This is Autumn. This is purely Autumn. I didn't click on anything. I don't have anything else on this. I just don't move it. I'm lazy. That's what happens. This is what you can do. Use your best team. You don't have to use the optimal team that they tell you, quote unquote, tell you. Because sometimes it doesn't necessarily be for like the best. In stuff like hard, you do want to use the optimal team because sometimes like what they end up doing, and I guess in this case, this is actually not immune to bleed, by the way. The reason they don't give it immunity to bleed is simple. So you can actually use the characters you got against them. And in the case for Aurora, since my Shadowfest Aurora, Red Aurora, is propping up bleed, what she can do is she's actually a bit of a replacement because her skill does damage based on, inflicts 50% of damage on each target, multiplied by its total effect. She also grants 4 demon power and self, so she pretty much can like damage cap up just this one, or close to anyway. 600,000 is just a little damage, but that aside, this is what I'm going to be doing for like my team. I will be using the red team for this case. And again, really good team. These are like really good units. They kind of sync up well. I don't know what's like synergize. I think is the word I'm looking for. They synergize quite well. But yeah, that's kind of it for the event boss. If you got one more advice, let me know. I'm hopefully I'm not like giving over like too much of a long run, but I'm understanding a little bit more and just gonna give in like, hey, you don't have to use this, because sometimes I felt that way and it's really obnoxious to really think that way sometimes. And for hard, you do need to, because otherwise you will not be like getting past like the 60% damage boost you get from this. At least I believe it's 60% damage boost. I'm not entirely sure. I think it's like you take 30% more damage and then you give 30% more damage. I think it's what it is. And it's quite heinous sometimes. That's what it really feels like, but it kind of gives you like multiple options on some stuff. But regardless, this has been it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope this was helpful to you. If you have questions, post them below. This will be uploaded fairly soonish from when I do this, and I will be open to just questions, quandaries, and anything that if you have any questions. Anyway, y'all have a good day. Stay solid. Bye bye.